Hey, greetings everyone. Glenn Kellaway from the basement. It is hump day today, Wednesday, and I am doing a video kind of reflecting back on the San Francisco scene around 1967, 68. That's my sweet spot. There were some great albums that followed from all the bands of that area, but their first albums really, I don't know, they're just special. And so I wanted to talk about them a little bit, at least 5 of them. And one from 5 different bands. Before I start, I want to congratulate Jeff from Speaker's Corner. He just did a video where he is celebrating his 10th anniversary making videos in the vinyl community. That's amazing. So, Jeff, well done. Jeff and Larry Graves, they're kind of like our old uncles, like they're a little older than us, and they've been making videos a long time. I was just in diapers when they started making videos. So, but anyway, congratulations. So let's get started here. First of all, my introduction to that whole scene, and I've talked about it before because it's one of the great albums of all time. One of my favorites is Jefferson Airplane's Surrealistic Pillow. Now, this is their second album. The first album, this is the first major label album, I think, and the first album with Grace Slick. Surrealistic Pillow was recorded in L.A., in Hollywood, California, at a studio there. It was released on February 1st, 1967. Just a great album. 2 big-time hit songs that are just 2 of the classic songs from the 60s. White Rabbit and Somebody to Love are both on this album. They were signed to the RCA label. This album, I remember when it came out, buying it on mono. And it's just such a great album. It's not a heavy album, and it's part of the whole psychedelic thing, and there was a couple of psychedelic songs on here, maybe like 3/5 of a Mile in 10 Seconds, and Plastic Fantastic Lover, She Has Funny Cars, but there are some beautiful ballads on this album. Today and Coming Back to Me are 2 gorgeous songs. Great instrumental track from Jorma Kaukonen called Embryonic Journey. This is just a friggin' great record, and really important to me in my whole musical growth, and started me on a love for the music for that area in the 60s. I had growing up in Toronto was great back then, but being involved with that San Francisco scene, like Mazzy and those dudes, man, that must have been something else. The next one I want to talk about is Big Brother and the Holding Company. I'm actually going to show 2 records here, because the one I love came out in 68, but in 1967, Big Brother's in the studio. Janis Joplin joins them. They go to the Monterey Pop Festival and blow everybody away. Janis becomes a superstar overnight, and they released this album about 2 months later in August of 67, Big Brother featuring Janis Joplin. I had not heard this album. I didn't know anything about it back then. But I like it now. Bye Bye Baby's on here. Down on Me is probably the song that's most well known off of this album. They were signed to the Columbia label, which was a big deal. In 1968, of course, they released one of the great albums from the 60s, Cheap Thrills, cover by Robert Crumb. This album was originally supposed to be called Sex, Drugs, and Cheap Thrills, and the record company said, no way you're doing that. But fantastic album. A studio recording that sounds like a live album, except for Ball and Chain, which I believe was live. But Piece of My Heart, huge hit off of this. Some great covers. Summertime, just fantastic. I thought I read somewhere that George Gershwin heard their version of Summertime and threw up in his mouth a little bit, but I think it's great. So, big fan. There's just the classic psychedelic picture, isn't it? Isn't that just remind you of that scene so much? That just says it all. That's awesome. Big Brother and the Holding Company. which would, now, this album, Cheap Thrills, was released August 12th, 1968. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's the only one where I'm going to show 2 records. Next, Country Joe and the Fish was probably my second favorite San Francisco band at the time. Well, maybe third, because Big Brother. I would say Jefferson Airplane, Big Brother, and Country Joe were my 3 favorites at that time. They released 2 amazing albums. Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die is almost like a jug band album. They kind of started out like in a jug bandish kind of way. It's the Grateful Dead kind of started out that way too before they became the Grateful Dead. They released this album, electronic, getting old, electronic music for the mind and body. Fantastic record, fantastic. It was all over both their records when they came out. This one was released in May of 1967. Fantastic record. It's a psychedelic rock album. Some great songs on here. Kind of a minor hit with Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine, which I love. And yeah, it's just awesome record. Country Joe and the Fish. Give me an F. Give me a U. Give me a C. What's that spell? Woodstock, man. Woodstock, man. Okay, next. Let's go Grateful Dead debut album. I was not a Dead fan back then. I didn't pay any attention to the Grateful Dead. Now my favorite band on the planet. I didn't really know anything about the Grateful Dead until, well, I saw them at Train Festival in 1970. That's the first time I really had much exposure to them. And then they released Working Man's Dead and American Beauty, which I heard, but didn't really jump on it, you know, and till later. And now, like I said, I'm just passionate about the Grateful Dead. But this is their debut album. Came out in March 17th, 1967, and it's such a great frickin' record, man. The Golden Road starts it off. Beat It On Down the Line, which was a concert staple for many years. They do a killer version of the classic blues song, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, with Pigpen taking the lead. Cold Rain and Snow, Sitting on Top of the World, an old classic that's done by every bluegrass band known to man and was also done as a great blues track by Cream. They do kind of a bluegrassy version of it. And of course the song they kind of just took over from Bonnie Dobson's great song Morning Dew, which is all about the last 2 people on Earth after a nuclear bomb blows up Earth and everybody's gone. And now there's no more morning dew. Where did all the people go and all that stuff? It's just a poignant song. And the Dead just frickin' kill it. But Grateful Dead, it's a must-own album. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Next, last but not least. Last but not least, Quicksilver Messenger Service. Now, this album came out in 68. The reason, they were around, but you know what the reason was they didn't put an album out in 1966, 67? Because no record label would sign them. They were the last band that's kind of well-known in that area at that time that got a record contract. And this album's fan-frickin-tastic, man. Talk about great guitar work. Oh, my God. Just an excellent album. John Cipollina, great guitar player. Wow, just awesome, awesome album. Trying to look at the track listing here. I'll look at it on the vinyl. Too Long and The Fool. Great. The Fool's like 12 minutes long. Fantastic track. Just full of psychedelic guitar. It's great. Pride of Man is a great opening track. Dino's song written by Dino Valente, who would write, come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody. Get together. Another great band from San Francisco, the Youngbloods. And yeah, just a frickin' super album. So that's 5 albums that really, really just define the San Francisco scene of 1966 to 67 to 68. If you got some more, pick them up. Moby Grape, there's a whole bunch, and then Santana would come, and CCR from the Northern California area, and Steve Miller, whole bunch of people. Like, it's just unbelievable. It's just a great story. Thanks, I appreciate it. See you soon.